It looked like a harmless PR stunt, just another day in the carefully curated world of Meghan Markle. Cameras flashed as she walked down the aisle of an American Airlines flight, all smiles and lip gloss, thanking the crew like a star in a feel-good rom-com. But as the press swooned over her charm at 30,000 feet, something else, something far more explosive, was unraveling on the ground before we unpacked the bombshells that could bring the entire Sussex fairy tale crashing down. Don't forget to subscribe. We're diving into details the mainstream won't touch hand. You won't want to miss what's coming next, because this wasn't just a friendly flight. It was a distraction, a smokescreen, and the turbulence. It wasn't in the air, it was buried deep inside the royal archives, whispered behind palace doors, and now screaming across the internet in a voice that refuses to be silenced. The spark. A whistleblower from British Airways who served on a royal flight during one of Meghan's official tours. She came forward anonymously, but what she said cracked the Sussex narrative wide open. According to this crew member, Meghan showed zero emotional connection to the infant she traveled with. No cuddles, no interaction, not even a glance. It was the nanny, not the mother, who held and cared for the baby. And what stunned the crew most, the child didn't respond to Meghan, not even a flicker. One moment like that? Sure, you could chalk it up to exhaustion, jet lag, stress. But this wasn't an isolated event. It was the final thread in a tapestry of whispers that have haunted Meghan Markle since 2019. The theory that she never actually gave birth to her children at all. Enter DL, a woman whose real name is still hidden, but whose story has become impossible to ignore. According to DL, she was the surrogate hired by Meghan Markle not once, but twice for both Archie and Lilibet. Her claims aren't vague. They are detailed, documented, and damning. She says she was flown into a secret compound, stripped of her phone, surrounded by security, no legal contract, no formal surrogacy paperwork. Just one instruction: carry the children, deliver them, sign an NDA, and disappear. It was supposed to be a ghost job, a blank page in the royal storybook. But DL didn't vanish? Why? Because according to her, Meghan ghosted her, cut her off completely after the second child. No thank you, no acknowledgement, no closure. DL didn't just feel betrayed, she felt erased, and now she's ready to talk. In fact, she's dropped the gauntlet. Test me. Test them. Let's see who's lying. She says she has videos, ultrasound scans, hospital records, all time-stamped, all matching the birth windows of Archie and Lilibet. One clip reportedly shows her lying on a hospital bed, belly round and swollen, whispering the date and location into the camera. Another shows her cradling a newborn while a masked nurse hovers nearby. But it's not just about her receipts, it's what they unlock. Because if her story is true, this isn't just a PR disaster, it's a royal crisis. We're talking about fraud, titles, succession and upheaval that could rock the monarchy to its core. And here's where it gets wild. Remember that viral video from Meghan's pregnancy? The one where her baby bump appeared to fold in on itself as she bent forward? At the time, it was dismissed as a wardrobe glitch or a camera trick. But in the context of DL's story, that clip has been dragged back into the spotlight. Internet sleuths now call it the moment the illusion broke. Then there are the photos, the strange baby foot pictures, the awkward hand placements, the lack of clear full-face images. Sharp-eyed viewers pointed out that Meghan's hands in one shot didn't match previous photos, wrong skin tone, different nails. And perhaps most suspicious of all, there's an allegation that Meghan didn't even go to the hospital for Lilibet's birth, arriving only afterward for staged press photos. For years, these were just rumors. Conspiracies whispered on fringe forums. But now, DL's story gives them weight. Real weight. Because she isn't just talking, she's daring the Sussexes to prove her wrong. She's offered to undergo a live, third-party supervised DNA test. No cameras, no theatrics. Just the truth and the fallout. It's already begun. Meghan's PR machine kicked into overdrive within hours of the leak. Suddenly, her social media was flooded with wholesome family moments. Her playing with the kids in a sunlit garden, posting essays about motherhood, resilience, and the journey of raising kind humans. But the internet wasn't buying it. Reddit exploded with side-by-side comparisons of DL's baby photos and Meghan's comments. Like, that's not even the same eye shape. Or where's the ginger gene? Gained thousands of upvotes. In one clip, the child alleged to be Lilibet had dark brown eyes, no red undertones, and facial features that didn't match either parent. And then there was the timing: Meghan's sudden appearance on a domestic flight, walking the aisle like a Hollywood flight attendant, just days after the British Airways whistleblower stepped forward. Coincidence? Maybe. But too many, it looked like desperation. A last-minute scramble to rewrite the story. It backfired. The harder she tried to appear relatable, the more people questioned what she was trying to hide. One viral comment said it best: "If everything was real, why is she trying so hard to prove it?" But that wasn't the end of it. Inside Buckingham Palace, the mood shifted from uncomfortable silence to quiet alarm. According to insiders, the royal legal team began urgently reviewing the laws of succession. Because here's the reality: Archie and Lilibet currently hold royal titles, but if it turns out that Meghan Markle was never legally pregnant and no surrogacy, documents wherever filed those titles hang by a thread. No legal mother, no succession, no place in the royal line. And it's not just symbolic. This is about constitutional integrity, about centuries-old royal traditions, about laws that don't bend for PR scandals or Hollywood contracts. If DL's DNA claims check out, this isn't a tabloid nightmare, it's a historical crisis. Titles could be revoked, inheritance rights lost, and the entire royal family thrust into chaos. Behind the scenes, King Charles was reportedly briefed on contingency plans. One advisor allegedly warned, "If we don't control this narrative, the monarchy could lose control of the line." And that's not paranoia's protocol, because what happens if the world's most famous monarchy gets caught in a scandal? That undermines its most sacred institution, bloodline. Meanwhile, back in Montecito, Meghan wasn't taking the storm well. Sources close to her say she spiraled. Staffers reported emergency PR meetings at 2 a.m., furious phone calls, and screaming fits over Reddit threads and TikTok montages. One aide claimed she broke down in tears after seeing a side-by-side comparison of DL's pregnancy footage with her own staged appearances. The similarities were chilling, and no amount of spin could undo what people were now seeing with their own eyes. Deals began to unravel. A high-end baby brand that once proudly partnered with Meghan quietly scrubbed all mentions of her from their site. A publishing deal centered on her motherhood journey was reportedly paused. And a luxury fashion house planning a campaign around her modern mom image suddenly ghosted. As one executive put it bluntly, "We can't attach our name to a story this volatile." And what about Harry? He's vanished, at least publicly. Friends say he's withdrawn, avoiding calls, ignoring texts, shutting out allies who once had his back. Some believe he's known about DL for years, and the guilt is finally catching up. Others say he's in denial, convinced that silence will make it all go away. But in today's world, silence is louder than any headline, and to many, it now sounds like complicity. As the media firestorm grows, the Sussex team is scrambling. Every old employee is being vetted, every NDA reviewed, every photograph reanalyzed for signs of what they missed. Because DL isn't bluffing. She's not asking for fame. She doesn't want a book deal. She wants the truth. And now, lawyers, networks, and publishers are circling her like sharks. She's turned down all of them except one offer: a live DNA test conducted by an independent third party without cameras or payment. Just results. DL's goal isn't revenge. According to a friend, she simply said, "Those children deserve the truth, and so does the world." The palace, however, is in lockdown mode. No statements, no denials. Just cold, calculated silence. But royal historians are already weighing in. One scholar warned that if Meghan cannot provide legal documentation of her pregnancies, or if DNA proves she was not the biological mother, the consequences could be irreversible. Titles stripped, lineage corrected, records amended. This isn't just a Meghan Markle controversy, it's a constitutional earthquake, and it's picking up speed. Already, political figures in the UK are quietly discussing emergency protocols. What to do if the monarchy needs to remove heirs from the succession list? What legal language must be used? How to manage international fallout? Because let's be clear, this isn't just royal family drama. It's a governance issue. A global institution built on bloodline cannot afford to base its future on fabrication. And the public, they're watching like hawks. Social media sleuths are dissecting every interview, every public appearance, every baby photo, and stacking it up against DL's footage and the evidence. It's starting to look less like rumor and more like revelation. Meghan's once polished image as the brave Duchess, the devoted mother, the victim of cruel precepts cracking, and underneath, people are seeing something very different. A woman accused of fabricating an entire motherhood story to protect her brand and preserve royal power. A woman whose silence may no longer be enough to contain the storm. The question isn't whether DL is telling the truth. The question is how far Meghan's team will go to stop her from proving it. Because if a live DNA test happens and DL is telling the truth, it could change royal history forever. As pressure mounts, DL remains steadfast. According to insiders close to her, she's prepared for legal threats, character attacks, and media manipulation. But what she wasn't prepared for, what stunned even her, was the overwhelming support she's received from unexpected corners of the internet. Women who've been surrogates, whistleblowers, even a few ex-police aides. Anonymously, of course, their message: "We believe you." And that support is growing louder, because the more the Sussex camp tries to distract, the more people dig. Meghan's team recently dropped another glossy campaign. This time, a dreamy video of her baking with her kids. Flour on her cheeks, a child giggling beside her, soft piano music in the background, different facial structure, eye color, hair texture. A Reddit post comparing the footage to old paparazzi shots of DL's children exploded overnight. Thousands of comments, millions of views, and one repeating theme: if that's not her child, who is it? The palace, for its part, remains motionless. Not a word from Charles, not a blink from William. Royal advisors are reportedly urging quiet preparation for the worst-case scenario: the need to formally strip Archie and Lilibet of their titles and remove them from the line of succession. It would be unprecedented, controversial, explosive, but not optional, because royal legitimacy isn't just about tradition, it's about legal clarity. Behind those gilded palace walls, contingency meetings are happening in hushed tones. Lawyers, historians, constitutional experts all weighing one terrifying question: what happens if DL is telling the truth? And what happens if she can prove it? Meanwhile, Meghan's inner circle is cracking. Former aides once fiercely loyal have gone dark. A longtime staffer reportedly declined to join her new PR campaign, citing moral concerns. Another former assistant told a friend, "I just don't know what's real anymore." And the chilling part? Neither do we, because for all of Meghan's staged appearances, her hand-picked interviews, and her tearful monologues about motherhood, there's now a deep, gnawing doubt that won't go away. Did she fake her pregnancies to preserve a narrative? Did she erase a woman who risked everything to help her? And most haunting of all, how long has Harry known? Insiders claim Meghan's camp is desperate to prevent the DNA test from happening. Quiet inquiries have been made to laboratories across Europe and the US, asking whether such a test could be legally blocked. But those efforts are hitting walls, because unless they can prove the claim is false, DL is within her rights to proceed, and that scares them, because a DNA match would be irrefutable. And once that result is public, no spin machine, no PR miracle, no Instagram story can erase it. Already, legal scholars are warning this could force Parliament's hand, would trigger a constitutional crisis unlike anything seen in modern times, and public trust, already fragile post-Megxit, could shatter completely. Sponsors know it, publishers know it, the public knows it too, so Meghan's options are shrinking fast. Continue denying and risk the test. Going viral? Admit the truth and face accusations of royal fraud. Or try to silence DL, something many believe she's already attempted. But DL isn't budging. She's even released a statement through a third party, saying, "This isn't about revenge. This is about dignity. I was silenced for too long. Now I'm taking my name back." And if she does, if she manages to pull the rug out from under one of the most tightly controlled royal narratives in history, it won't just be Meghan who pays the price. It will be Harry, the monarchy, the legacy of succession. Everything. This is no longer just a story about babies, titles, or press photos. It's a question of truth, and it's barreling toward the public at full speed. The royal family has weathered scandals before: divorces, affairs, rogue relatives, and tabloid storms. But this is something else entirely, because it's not about bad behavior. It's about legitimacy, lineage, a sacred chain that stretches back centuries. And now, at the center of that chain sits a woman accused of orchestrating one of the most audacious deceptions in modern royal history. If DL's claims are proven, Meghan didn't just fake a pregnancy, she faked a position. In royal legacy, she stood beside a prince, accepted global sympathy, secured multi-million-dollar deals, and stepped into the spotlight with the world's admiration, all while allegedly hiding the truth. And now, the world is watching to see what she does next. Will she double down, surround herself with lawyers, and bury the story in silence? Or will she finally address the truth and admit that someone else brought her children into the world? Thus far, she's chosen silence. But silence is crumbling under the weight of evidence. DL, on the other hand, is gaining strength. With every new interview clip, every recycled Meghan blog post, and every blurred baby photo that resurfaces her story, grows legs, not because it's scandalous, but because it's plausible, specific, real. She doesn't ask for fame. She doesn't cry for attention. She simply says, "Look at the records. Look at the dates. Test the DNA. I have nothing to hide." And that, perhaps, is the most devastating contrast of all. While Meghan hides behind PR teams and palace-friendly silence, DL stands alone, demanding truth. She may not wear a crown, but right now, she's the one holding all the power. Royal experts agree if this DNA test moves forward and DL is verified, the monarchy will be forced to act. It won't be a decision rooted in feelings or optics. It will be constitutional law. And once that door opens, it doesn't close again. The question then becomes, what else is real? What else has been carefully constructed to fit a palace-approved storyline? And if Meghan could fabricate something as sacred as motherhood, what else might she have fabricated? It's a question that chills, a question that lingers long after the cameras turn off and the PR machine stops spinning, because this story isn't over. Not by a long shot. There's a storm coming, and it's not royal reign, it's a reckoning, fueled by truth, driven by one woman's refusal to be erased, whether DL's claims reshape the monarchy or not. One thing is certain, something fundamental has shifted. The Sussex fairy tale has a new chapter, and it's not a glossy picture of garden laughter or curated vulnerability. It's a story of secrets, of power, of control, and one woman ready to break it all open. So, what happens next? Will we see a DNA test? Will Parliament step in? Will the royal titles quietly disappear? Or will this whole saga fade into history, buried under spin and distraction? Time will tell, but if you're watching this and still asking, could it really be true? Remember, the louder someone tries to convince you everything is perfect, the more likely something is very, very wrong behind the curtain. Don't look away now, because the next headline could change royal history forever, and we'll be right here when it does. Subscribe for more deep dives like this. We cover the stories others won't touch, and we're just getting started.